this meeting. I see Mr. Tumoya has joined us. Thank you so much, Chinedu, for joining. Glad to have you here, and I expect more of our people will be joining even as the webinar proceeds. So I'll go right away into the introduction, and I'm going to be reading a bit of an overview of this topic we're looking at. Again, what is the topic? We're looking at our Japa stories, true narratives from Nigerians in diaspora. Now, what's better this idea? Interestingly, one of my panelists was just sharing with me earlier on that, in fact, he had a similar idea. He relocated to the UK, I think about 2 years ago, and he was saying he already had a similar idea that, okay, wanted to document his stories, transitioning from Nigeria to the UK with the family, having to settle down, all that. He wanted to document this. And so when we brought this, we were like, oh, fantastic. It was just like as if we read his mind. So basically, we see that a lot of people have stories they would like to document, that they would like to talk about. So we also understand a lot of Nigerians currently are considering opportunities, considering I would love to leave Nigeria at some point. So we felt, why don't we as well, listen to those who are currently there, who have either relocated long ago or just relocated recently, and let's even hear their stories. Why did you actually leave? Now that you're left, that you've left Nigeria and you're over there, is it worth it? Do you prefer? Are you glad you made that decision? Do you have any regrets and all of that? So these are the things we're going to be discussing in the course of today's webinar. So please invite your friends. You have the links. Share your status. Tell them to come join us. Let's make it a very interesting conversation. And don't forget, we still have our 20,000 Naira giveaway. We do that every webinar. This is the fifth of the series. And again, we're going to be giving out the 20,000 Naira. Please, it's a question of your participation. We want to make sure that as you're here, you're dropping your comments, you're asking your questions, you're raising your hands to speak. Well, we love to always have an active audience, and we trust we're going to be getting that again tonight. Thank you so much once again for joining us. And I'll go into a quick overview of this particular topic, our Japa stories, true narratives from Nigerians in diaspora. In recent years, an increasing number of Nigerians have left the country in pursuit of better opportunities, leading to the popular term Japa, signifying their decision to migrate. These migrations are fueled by diverse reasons, including education, employment, safety, and aspirations for a better quality of life. While the challenges of living home are significant, so too are the stories of resilience, adaptation, and the pursuit of success in foreign lands. This edition of Dynamical Consulting's monthly webinar will explore the narratives of Nigerians in diaspora. By sharing their unique experiences, triumphs, and challenges, this session seeks to shed light on the realities of living abroad and the factors driving these migrations. What does it mean to Japa? How do these individuals navigate life in unfamiliar territories? What lessons can be drawn from their stories? And how can these insights inspire those considering similar journeys? So these are the things we want to discuss in the course of this webinar. Some key topics among what we'll be talking about. We're looking at why we left. What were the key factors behind the decision to migrate? Of course, how did the political, economic, or social landscape of Nigeria influence these choices? We'll be looking at life abroad. What are the expectations versus the reality? What are the biggest adjustments migrants face in these new countries? How do their lived experiences compare with the expectations before leaving? We're looking at how you can maintain your identity and connection, maintaining identity and connection there. How do Nigerians in diaspora retain their cultural heritage while integrating into new environments? What role does community play in supporting this balance? Then, of course, we're also going to be looking at the ripple effect of migration and how has migration impacted their families and communities back home, and what contributions are diasporans making towards Nigeria's development. So we're going to be having our panelist presentations, of course, and we have 4 panelists ready with me right now. I'm going to be introducing them in a bit, but I'll be doing that one after the other. I'll bring the first panelist up, then, of course, do our citation and everything about that. The panelist speaks for 10 minutes. At the end of that, we'll start with the next panelist. So we're going to be having our 4 panelists speak for the next 40 minutes. Hopefully, we don't exceed that time. And at the end of this, we're going to have a panel discussion, a group panel session before we begin to have questions and answers from the audience. But please, at any point in time, feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. Anything jumps at you. I expect more Nigerians in diaspora in this meeting, for instance. So those of us in diaspora, if you have friends, call them, let them join. Perhaps you might want to share your story too. We'll allow you to speak. We have a full 30 minutes audience session where you're able to say everything you want to say. So if you have friends who are in the diaspora, let them come and share their own experiences too, and all that. On a lighter note, I once had a friend, I'm trying to see if I've not exceeded my time. Okay, I still have about 2 minutes. On a lighter note, I once had a friend who went to do his master's program in the UK. And so he got a job. I think he was working as a security guard, you know, and it was during the winter. He was, so that night, while he was standing and doing his duty, he decided to just sit on the chair. And while he sat, he said he had not sat for 5 minutes, for 5 seconds rather, when his phone rang, his intercom, and he picked up immediately. And security said, "No, you cannot sit, you have to stand." In other words, he was not expected to sit. Unlike here in Nigeria now, I live in an estate here, for instance, in Ondo State, Akure, where I come in sometimes at maybe past 11 to 12 at night, and these guys are sleeping soundly. I literally have to start blaring my horns for them to open the estate gates before I can drive in. You know, so we see that a lot of these things happen when you get to migrate. You see that, look, things don't look as, you know, as, sorry to use the word, unorganized as it sounds around here. We see, and at the same time, people will tell you that our, you know, the dysfunctionality of the Nigerian system is also an advantage for many Nigerians. So these are some of the things we want to explore in the course of this conversation. So as we move forward, I'm going to be talking about, I'm introducing my panelists. The first panelist I'm going to be bringing on for this particular conversation is she's going to be speaking on the decision to Japa, reflections on leaving home, where she's going to be discussing the motivations, the fears, and the aspirations tied to migration. You know, talking about career opportunities, education, family reunification as key motivators, and of course, the emotional challenges of leaving loved ones behind, as well as the personal reflections on the long-term impact of that decision to migrate. So I'm going to be bringing up shortly Miss Karim Khadijat Karim. But let me read a citation very quickly. I'm going to be sharing my screen for that. Please, I would like you to confirm to me once you can see my screen. Just give me a second to do this. Just let me know once you can see my screen. But I'll just read a citation while I also try to share a screen. While she's speaking, our screen will be shared, definitely. Okay. So I'm reading Khadijat Karim's citation now. Khadijat Adenike Karim is a driven professional with a strong academic foundation and a growing career trajectory. She holds an OND in accounting and a BSc in business administration. Recently, she concluded her postgraduate diploma in business management at the Manitoba Institute of Trades and Technology, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Khadijat is the team lead for international education at VJGC Limited, demonstrating her dedication to fostering global academic connections. She also serves as healthcare aide at Extended Care, Tuxedo Villa, Winnipeg, where she provides compassionate care to seniors. Her career advancement continued with a new role as an administrative assistant at Jericho Care Inc., Winnipeg, starting January 2025. Marking her first year in Canada on December 9th, Khadija embodies resilience and commitment, balancing diverse roles while contributing meaningfully to our community. Our journey reflects a remarkable blend of academic excellence, professional growth, and altruistic service. I'll be bringing Khadija next. Okay, Khadija, I see you're already there. So over to you. You have the floor now to speak with us for the next 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's still no here. Good afternoon. Give me a moment. I'll just quickly set my timer. I told Shile that I'm not a public speaker, but sometimes I get too carried away when I start talking, because this to me is just like it's like gist. I didn't prepare any any presentation for it, though it was kind of last minute for me, but at least to me it's like, you know, talking about your journey is just like a gist. So I just have here an highlight of what he asked me to speak about. So first of all, I'll be speaking about my sorry, I don't think I have to do an introduction again. Sheila already did that. Again, I am Khadijat. People mostly call me KD, as I find it difficult to pronounce Khadijat. Though I feel it's a bit it's not that difficult. It's a very common name in Nigeria, but here, you know, it's kind of long. So you can on this call as well call me KD, Nike, Khadija, whatever you like is fine. So first of all, I'll be speaking on my motivation. So I won't say that I'm part of the bad wagons, that just follow trend. I've always had dreams to come abroad for my master's and my PhD, but just to come to study and go back. So I started working for VJGC 2020, and when UK opened up their borders, so we were doing immigration study, to be precise, at the side. So when UK opened their border after COVID, and they opened up the postgraduate work permit pathway again, and my boss called me and said, "Don't you think we should go into this thing full time and all of that?" And we started. We started doing UK visas, UK study pathway, and all of that. We were having success. So I looked at it. My clients, they travel in 6 months. They're on their feet. They are doing okay. Because what we do, we follow up. We don't leave you even after you have traveled abroad. So my clients, you see them after 6 months. You follow up, and they are doing really well. At that point, I still don't have a change of mind. As at that time, I was even still running my BSc at National Open University. So, and my husband is a professor in Usman Danfodio University. I was already speaking to some of his colleagues on my master's topic and all of that. So it was a thing of finish up, start your master's, finish your master's. My dad was already working on me getting into Michigan State University for PhD and go back.
I don't know if it's me. Khadija, you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you. We lost your audio.
Muted since?
No, just for about maybe 20 seconds, thereabouts. Just take us back 20 seconds.
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
sorry. Could you please tell me where I am? You lost me.
No, just take it from your last paragraph, from where you just continue from where you are, basically.
Okay, I'll just continue from, when I see my clients doing okay, and I started having the talk with my husband about, going. My husband is from the northern part of Nigeria, and in his dream, can he ever come abroad to stay? Even till now, we are still in conversation about that. So I come and I go and all of that. I can't stay in Canada. I can't stay abroad. It's not a matter of code. Their culture it's not something that allows them, or they are not keen to staying abroad in their culture. So we are still in conversation about that anyways. So my main motivation was, seeing people come in, settle in, and unlike the stories I used to know that, it's usually very difficult, it takes a while for you to get yourself. Don't get me wrong, it's not as if you jump into it right away, but for me, it was, I like it was over, I don't know, maybe people were just over talking about it like, it's always difficult, it's always this. I see people coming 6 months, 7 months, they're on their feet. So I started making that decision. Plus the Nigeria issues and all of that, I was in a business. I was working for VJGC remotely before I left Lagos. I relocated to Sokoto. So I was doing this onions business, tomatoes, and I developed high blood pressure doing that business because I send onions, and 1 week is on the road, they're already getting spot, I'm running at loss and all of that. So I was already getting fed up. So that's informed my decision. And the last one was when my boss packed up and said she was going. She was part of the people that used to say never, they're not leaving Nigeria. So when what's it called happened, that's what's it called 2020 when it happened, and at the island in Lagos, I can't remember what's it called now, and she decided that she was leaving. So I was like, if Dr. Vera can leave Nigeria, what am I waiting for? I have to. And that was how I started. So my expectation, like I used to tell people, I am not part of the regular people that just come abroad and start struggling. It's not because I had soft landing. I will not lie about that. I had a soft landing, so I cannot compare my stories to other. I had somewhere here in Manitoba. When I got here, she picked me up from the airport, took me to her house. I already got a place from Nigeria. I spent a few days in the house. I went to her house. So all my expectations, like, they were all met. I didn't have any issues. So I would even say much about that. So career opportunity, I already knew that I'm going to continue in my business management administrative line and all of that. So coming as a student, I applied for business management straight from Nigeria. I didn't branch to anything. But when I got here, I got we call it surviving job. I started as an FKA while doing my school as a business, going to school for my diploma for business management. My when I completed like 300 hours as my job, they sent me to Red River College for a course in healthcare aid, and from there I started moving. In fact, it's really, really surprising because here you put in the work, you get the results. There's no two way about it. Even in school, when I look at my transcript and I looked at my transcript from back home, I was like, is it me having A+ all through? Because you have to do the work, and if you do the work, you get the results. So my expectations were not cut short. The career opportunities too, even whatever, the healthcare aid job is not my career path, but I see myself, I keep moving. My pay increased 3 times now in 9 months. Because when you complete a particular month, you move. When you complete a particular month, you move. You don't need to say anything to anyone. You just see your pay stop. There's an increase, and that's it. Education, like I said again, I did business management, and fortunately for me, connecting it to career path, I already got a job for I'll be working for Jericho Care Inc. It's also a care home, because I already kind of developed interest in the health industry now. And I felt, how can I integrate it with my career path? Of course, I don't want to, except I want to go into nursing later. That is what I am actually considering now. Right now, my careers are already moving into different path now, because I enjoy what I actually do now. And I also don't want to lose my track. So I started applying immediately. Even before I finished, I started applying for jobs. Unfortunately for me, I got a job as an administrative assistant already, which I'll be starting in January. So family home, that is a very difficult one. When I was living last year, my daughter was just 2 years old and my son was 8. My daughter is now 3. So it was kind of difficult for me because I usually do exclusive breastfeeding, and I do this 2 years of breastfeeding thing for my kids. So when I was going for my biometrics, actually, my daughter was still breastfeeding. So it was that period I used to win her. So, everything happened so fast. Biometrics, what's it called? Medicals, and before you know it, you're on your way to Canada. This girl is very small. We were in Sokoto, and I had to move them to family's place in Lagos because I didn't want them to remain in Sokoto with all the unrest in Nigeria. That will triple my anxiety and my worries. So it's been very difficult actually leaving families back home. So, and with my husband not wanting to relocate permanently, it's been kind of difficult as at that time, he had already applied for his professorship post, and we were waiting. So I just said, okay, let me try the application for them to come, and it was denied because they stopped open spousal work permits then. I said, okay, let me do this. And people just said, just hold on when you finish, and you put the application and they'll come and all of that. Though it's been very difficult, and I won't lie to you, it's not been easy because of the time difference. I have to be on the phone most of the time. My kids are in Lagos. I have to speak with them. Then my husband is in Sokoto, sometimes conference call and all of that. And most time when I avoid video calls now, because after video call, my daughter will just be crying and will be grumpy for hours again before she will become herself and all of that. So for leaving family back home is not easy. But talking of making new families here, it has been very easy for me. Like I said, I had soft landing. I call her my sister because she's more than a boss now. She took me to places when I first came, and I am a very social person too. I started making my own friends, and I started going out. So what I do to avoid, thinking much, if I'm not speaking to my kids, I go out. Like yesterday, Sheila has been trying to reach me. I've not even been responding to his messages. I went for a Christmas party at her house. It was a lot and all of that. So I will quickly go to the last point. My time is up. What has it been like? I'll just say it in one word. For me, no regrets. The only thing I look forward to now is my family coming to join me. At least myself and my husband are meeting ourselves in the middle. They will be coming and, come 3 months, go back. Like that, it will be shortly. But regrets, I tell you, I don't think I will ever regret it. And if you ask me, will I do it again? Oh, yes, I will do it over and over again. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to say something, and I hope I've been able to pass something. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Khadija. Wow, that was powerful. That was powerful. That was powerful. Let's have your emojis, please. Your reactions, claps, everything. Let's see. Let's keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Thank you so much, Khadija. Really appreciate that. I mean, I like the fact that you said you had a soft landing. It's so very obvious. You're one of the lucky ones, I dare say, because we've also had stories of many people who have gone and they did not have this fantastic experience you seem to have. But thank God for relationships. Thank God for family. And I'm glad you said you got to go spend Christmas. You went to a Christmas party. Beautiful. That shows even religion is not a barrier, because obviously you're Muslim and all that, which also shows that you are one of those who having it fun or easier over there. So thank God for that. We appreciate you for sharing your story with us. Of course, the part where you talked about your baby and all that, I felt a bit emotional, and I can just imagine how resilient you have been. So we wish you all the best, and please stick around. We still have a lot to talk about it because of this webinar. Thank you so much. That was Khadijat Karim, who just gave us the first panel presentation there. She was talking about a panel presentation actually focused on the topic, which we're looking at decision to Japa, reflections on leaving home. And so now we're going to be going to the next panel session. And this time around, I'm going to be bringing my Egbon. I like to call him my Egbon. I mean, his story was, when he left, funny enough, our kids used to attend the same school. And of course, we also attend the same church. And when you have those two parts of your community, church and school, what kind of bond are you expecting again? So only for me to hear that Mr. Popola and his family have Japa, I was like, I just saw this many weeks ago, but I'm sure he's going to respond to that in a bit now. So far we've been in touch. Interestingly, he's also our client. My consult handles the kids, so we are literally family. But then, in fact, it was the one I mentioned earlier that when we spoke, said he had a similar idea on what, and I'm sure we might throw one or two light on that in the course of this conversation. So basically, is one man, is a powerful man, I dare say. But let me read the citation here before it comes up. Oluwaseun Popola, also known as Pope, is an accomplished business analyst with over 20 years of experience in workforce management, process optimization, and data analysis in the telecoms and commerce sectors. Currently a business analyst in workforce management for a UK-based company, Pope specializes in agile and Scrum methodologies, leveraging tools like Jira, BPMN, Power BI, and Excel to deliver impactful e-commerce projects. A graduate of accounting from Ambrose Ali University, and holder of an MBA from the University of Lagos, Pope previously held key roles in Globalcom, Cars 45, Etisalat, and MTN, where he refined his expertise in strategic decision-making and operational efficiency. Having migrated to the UK in 2022 for a master's degree in digital and strategic marketing, Pope navigated cultural shifts and professional transitions with resilience. His journey inspires those embracing change, offering valuable insight into adaptation, learning, and success in dynamic environments. I'll be bringing Mr. Popola shortly to discuss the sub-theme Resilience Abroad, Overcoming Challenges in a New World, where it's going to be, talking about how you navigated those challenges, focusing on areas around cultural adjustment, building new support systems, career transitions, and overcoming workplace hurdles, and of course, personal growth through triumphs and key lessons. So I'll be yielding the floor now to Mr. Oluwaseun Popola. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Shile, for bringing me here. And thank you very much to everyone who's listening. More importantly, to the last speaker. I like to, just like she said, it's just like you're gisting, really, because these are things that we talk about over and over again at different events, when you meet people, when you're speaking to people abroad, and so on. So, but I'll just go straight into it. My name is Pope. They call me Pope, really, because just like Adijat, they couldn't pronounce my name. My name is Oluwaseun Popola, so there's no way they're even going to try. So I told them, well, from school they've been calling me Pope, so please just call me Pope. So in my company right now, when you say you're looking for Pope, that's me. I have a family of 5, me and 2 boys and a girl. And the last job that I worked in Nigeria was actually I was with Globacom. I worked with Globacom for about three years plus before I decided to migrate. Um, just to briefly say, the motivation for me was about my family and the security situation in the country. I couldn't just stand by and sit by, uh, and see how things are going. There's no prospect for my family, especially my children, in terms of their education. I was telling someone this night, I said, before you can begin to see impactful policies in education, it has to be on ground for like 5, 10 years. Right now, we don't even have any. So what happens to my kids when they get into university? So I thought about that, and I couldn't bear, the fact that one of my family members, my close family members, maybe my wife or my kids, could be a victim of kidnapping in Nigeria. So security was a major decision trend for me, and I took that decision. And I said, okay, well, what's the way out? There are 2 routes. Is either I come here as a healthcare worker, or I come here as a student. And I decided to come in as a student. It cost a lot. 2 years ago, I'm sure whoever is getting into that venture right now will be looking out for millions of naira, because if you're coming with a family, that are pros and cons to it. Just like the last speaker, she was able to live without the family. So I look at people who are able to live without their family to come abroad. I look at them with envy, really, but when they also look at me, they're probably going to look at me with envy. So it's never green or greener on any side. There are always challenges. So when I came into the UK prepared. When I say prepared, I mean financially. I had a plan. I knew what I was getting into because I've been coming here on holiday before. So I know how the system works, and I came in prepared. I came in financially prepared. I came in mentally prepared. I knew I was more or less going from 100 to 0, more or less like starting all over again. And I was prepared for it. I made up my mind. I told my wife, I said, look, you have more options than I do because you are my dependent. You are not tied to anything. So you are going to find ways to quickly fly, higher as much as fast as you can, and you have quite a young career, so to speak. So it's easier for you. And so that was one of the plans that we said, okay, well, we're going to push you forward to see what you can do, and then I will gradually begin to build up my mind also. So my experience, in the first 6 months was really not very palatable, and that's the truth. That's why the fact that I came in with preparation, I came in with finance and everything. Um, we ran into a scam, really. We're looking for accommodation, and a white lady, not black man now, a white lady actually scammed us of £7,400. And up until now, we've not been able to retrieve a dime out of that fund. So that more or less, threw all the plans out in motion. We couldn't get anything done. We had to start replanning. But the truth of the matter is, because we were resilient, we were just ready. We knew things would happen, and it's not our country, so we had to start all over again. So we began to make a different kind of plan. um, Adjusting to cultural issues wasn't so much of a difficulty for us, because when we're coming in, we already agreed that we will try as much as possible not to stay in black populated areas. And we had our reasons, which we will not discuss here. It's not really for this event. We said we were not going to stay in black populated areas, and we said we're not going to attend black churches. So we chose, because we needed that support. And for us, the church has actually been a very good support system for us. We walked into the church, we spoke with the priest, and we said, well, this is a challenge. We ran into a scam. We actually had to live in a different part of town, from the initial plan that we had because of that scam. We had to move to a different place. We had challenges there because we're living in a shared, we stayed in a shared apartment for about 3 months with another Nigerian man where we were paying so much because we didn't know so much. It was more or less ripping us off. But eventually, the stay was also beneficial to us because he was the one who introduced me to the first agency that I worked with as a healthcare worker. And it was through that agency that I got a permanent job in another company where I got my sponsorship from. So, just like the Bible will say, all things will work together, for good. And that's been the story. So, for in terms of support system, it's been my family really, because when you go out and you come back, and you've gone through the horrors that you will go through on a daily basis in terms of work pressure, in terms of getting to where you're going, even, especially when you don't have a car. When we first started, there was no car, so jumping buses. You can imagine somebody who's been driving 2 cars in Nigeria. I usually would have a driver waiting for me beside my car to collect my bag to get into the car, and then you have all of a sudden there's a change. But what really more or less supported my mental health then was because I was determined. I knew what I was doing. When I was leaving Nigeria, I more or less burnt the entire fleet, of what might take me back to Nigeria, at least in the nearest future. I don't have the intention of relocating back. So I more or less burnt the boats and told myself no going back. So it was that mentality helped me to navigate through all the pressures. But when you go through all of that and you get back home, you need someone who will ask you how your day went. Who will tell you, well, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Well, don't worry, why don't you do this tomorrow instead of what you did today? And all of that. Somebody that you can cry on. I cried a number of times because we didn't have the same soft landing that Miss Khadija had. It was, we're moving into a different region of the country than I've ever known. So for me, my family, then religion, I was able to blend quickly into the church. I started taking volunteer role in the church, and they started recognizing that. So they begin to, warm up to you and probably give you some information about things that you actually need to do. There are work challenges, no doubt about that. Being able to transit from one position to another, it was a difficult one because I joined an organization, which one of the branches, I was actually the only black man there at that point. And there's no way here they won't be as racist as maybe Germany, but you can still sense it. You will know that they are not, they don't really like you, that, but they can't say it and they can't act it. But you will see, you will feel it. But then, because you know where you're going and you know what you're doing, you're not going to be taking, all of those things to heart. So we, from time to time, you would try to tell yourself again that this is where you're going and this is how you need to get there. Some work colleagues will give you some information, just for the sake of it, and that information might be a very good tool for you in the future. So you need to build the network, build a community around yourself, find people who are of like minds that you can share ideas, together. Friends abroad who have been through the same situation that can encourage you. And for career transition, really, it's I've not really transited so much because I'm still doing what I was doing, this administrative. But in terms of really integrating yourself into the system, you need certifications because no matter how much you have studied in Nigeria, they want to know if you know what they know. So you need, gearing towards certifications in their own, colleges or institutes. Your CV, make sure that it's properly done. You have references, maybe back home in Nigeria or here in the UK, who can actually tell them that, well, You've worked with them. So career transitioning is a bit dicey, but it's something that can be done. It's a deep, it's a whole discussion on its own. And so because of time, really, I'll just uh, quickly just run through the other things. Personal growth. The first thing that you need to do to really grow yourself is, a change of mindset. You need to be conscious of that fact that you need a change of mindset. Not everyone will have a guide when you get to your new place. We didn't have a guide. We had to more or less guide ourselves. You can imagine me taking five, members of my family all around looking for accommodation, just because somebody who was supposed to give me accommodations camped me out of my money, you know, and then we had to go back to zero and restart, the plan all over again. And sometimes you actually need to go back to the basics. You need to bring yourself down. Don't That mentality of you know who I am, it ends at Muritala Mohammed Airport, really, because here nobody cares who you are. They don't care what you wear, what you look like, what you do. In the first instance, they don't even want to see you. So the fact that you walk on the street, they are blind to you. So you need to bring yourself down and tell yourself, well, this is where you're starting all over again. Um, and just go ahead. Lessons learned. The lessons that we've learned so far. Don't set your expectations too high when you're moving into another country. Don't don't so because it will get to a point that you'll be shocked at things that will happen to you. I was really shocked when I got scammed because I always believe that, well, the UK is so advanced, they can detect fraud by just looking at your face. But I got scammed. Then follow a detailed plan. If you have a plan, follow it. Don't There are many things that will come your way. You need to be very focused, and don't compare your successes or failures with somebody else's. You don't have the same race, you don't have the same experience, you don't have the same plan. Just do your thing, and then make sure that you have a deep motivation. Your motivation must be so deep that when challenges come, you are able to navigate through, and maintain your ties in Nigeria, because one of these days you're going to need someone, even if you're not going back. And make sure that you have multiple plans, but follow one at a time. And that's just what I have. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Popola. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep your emojis coming. Let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. That was another very, very powerful session. I mean, what stood out for me majorly was the fact that he said when he was leaving Nigeria, he made up his mind that I'm not coming back. But I mean, I'm very sure, sir, on a lighter note, when you got to the embassy, did you tell them you were not coming back?
Definitely, definitely. The school would even interview you to ask you whether
Okay.
you have a plan. So I told them, well, of course I have a plan. In another 5 years, I want to go back to my country and make use of
Okay.
the skills that I've achieved. But definitely, we all know that deep inside, that's not the truth.
Wow, wow, wow. All right. I love the daring mentality there. Fantastic. And of course, your story was very, very, very passionate. I mean, ooh, wow, wow. That took a lot of resilience, especially getting scammed. I can just imagine. I mean, it's you're a strong man, and definitely we appreciate you taking your time to speak to us and sharing your story with us. Of course, please stick around. We're still going to be talking. We've kind of exceeded our time, but we'll see how we can salvage some of it. Maybe it might just be the question and answer section that might suffer it. Apologies. We'll try to finish on time. And I'm going to be bringing the next panelist right now. This panelist is going to be speaking about diaspora and culture, staying rooted in a foreign land. Miss Cynthia Mabuyako is actually a client. Another fantastic person. I mean, she's okay. I don't know. Mr. Am I allowed to say? I don't want to go. I don't want to get sued though. But anyway,
you can go ahead.
All right. Okay. Fine. All right. So I personally teach our kids and lovely kids. If I mean, I don't know if they are there. Shout out, guys, if you're there. Wonderful kids.
No, you're at work. I'm at work.
Oh, you're at work. Okay, great. Like, okay, yeah. So, but basically, she's I've been teaching them now for maybe about 5-6 months, but She's literally, I mean, they've literally become like family. So I reached out to her and I told her, look, because sometimes when we speak, we have time to talk about the realities of having to have left Nigeria and some of these cultural challenges that, you know, has been observed and all that. And from there, we just, in fact, I think she was one of the first people I discussed about this idea. Look, we want to have a kind of a webinar like this where people just talk about their stories. Nigerians who have been over there, and since then, she's played that commitment as she'll be. And I'm so grateful you're here, Ma. Thank you so very much. And of course, you'll be speaking to us about diaspora and culture, staying rooted in a foreign land. And you'll be exploring, you know, how we can preserve our Nigerian heritage and identity while abroad, with some emphasis on how do you maintain traditions, you know, through language, food, and celebrations. For example, I like to know. I don't think I don't think my boy and my girl actually speak the dialect. I'm not too sure. You want to tell us something about that? How is it possible to retain that or not, and things like that? You know, I've also heard of some families where they speak their dialect so flawlessly, and you wonder, I'm here in Nigeria, my kids cannot even speak Yoruba, but you know, it is what it is. I'm still trying to see what we can do about it and stuff like that. So not to talk of where you are outside Nigeria in the diaspora and all that, where these are not even very, very popular situations and all that, you know. So you want to talk, how do you connect the diaspora community to stay rooted? You know, how did you connect with them? What were the barriers you encountered and all that? Of course, how do you pass your cultural values down to the next generation, and any of possible challenges that, you know, are identified with it? So I'm going to be reading Mrs. Mabiaku's citation very quickly, and there she'll be taking the floor. Cynthia Mabiaku is a certified nursing assistant, counselor, mother, and wife. An accounting graduate from Lagos State University, she holds additional qualifications from Robertson College, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and is currently an undergraduate in nursing. Born on February 6 in the early 80s, Cynthia has dedicated herself to supporting others, especially through her involvement in several NGOs focused on helping the girl child navigate their teenage years. She currently works with adolescent and young adults, AYAS, living with cancer and blood disorders at Cancer Care. The program provides resources and support for patients aged 15 to 35, offering individual counseling for AYAS and their families, as well as a monthly support group for cancer and blood disorder patients. Our services also include sexuality and fertility counseling, peer support connections, and help finding appropriate resources before, during, and after treatment. You have the floor, Ms. Mabiaku. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you so much, Mr. Sile. Good evening, everybody in Nigeria, and if you're in the diaspora, I say good morning or good afternoon. So I'm going to be starting my timer so that I don't exceed my quota. But then talking about the diaspora and talking about, you know, the Japa stories, you can't really jump into the topic of context without, you know, saying the main reason why you left Nigeria. One of the main reasons that I left Nigeria was that I'm one of those women, maybe traditional women, that would not, or rather did not, and I in fact, I was very emphatic about it, that my husband, if he decided that he wanted to go abroad, if he wasn't going with us, he wasn't going anywhere. It was that bad. Like, he tried several times, tried several ways, tried to go with so many things. And I told him, I said, as long as you are married to me, except we are not married, you can go. And then immediately I tell you bye-bye in the airport. That's where it ends for us. But if we are married, the day you say you want to go abroad, you have to make sure that we all go together, because I've had relatives who got married to men who went abroad and never came back. And they were there married for 10 years, 20 years, and only for them to find out that the men had gotten married just because they were looking for papers and all that. Now, another factor that, you know, motivated. So since my husband wanted to, you know, really come abroad because he had his own reasons, he wanted a better life for himself and all that. But another reason that motivated me to want to come abroad was my son. When I gave birth to him, he didn't talk for till he was like almost 3. And then when he started talking, he had a different intonation from every other kid out there. It got to a stage people started calling me Mommy Americana, because even when he wants to speak, his intonation was different. And so, and then I found out that then I found out that he was left-handed too. The school he was going to could not handle him. They could not do anything with him. Like every day, I would fight. I would go to the school to fight just because they were not processing his abilities and his capabilities properly. Anyway, by the time my husband was gearing up for this, I was like, okay, you know what? I really want to leave because of this boy. Because if I told any other thing, he needs a different environment. To be fair and sincere, the when we got to the airport, when we landed in Canada, in Toronto airport to be precise, when they were asking questions, my son just spoke. The first person that asked him was like, "Oh, how are you?" And welcome to Canada. He was, "Oh, thank you." And the lady said, "Sorry, is he your son?" I said, "Yes." "Where was he born?" I said, "He was born in Nigeria, Ifako, General Hospital." She was looking, "Where is that?" I said, "Somewhere in Nigeria." She was like, "Oh, are you sure? Because he doesn't speak like a Nigerian." "Oh, have you been coming here before?" I said, "No, this is our first time here." It was surreal to them because they didn't understand that that was what I was also going through back in Nigeria. Like would tell me, "Oh, that's a lie. My son was not born in Nigeria." But anyway, that was it. So that was my major reason for wanting to move. And then again, I looked at the educational system. The educational system was failing. If you didn't have to send your kids to a private university, then your child going to the federal university might stay, instead of a 4-year course, might be doing 8 years in the school because of strikes and all that. So that was part of it. Now, with all that, I'm going to be talking about maintaining traditions through language, food, celebration, connecting with the diaspora community to stay rooted. See, here, language is one thing. My kids don't speak. My husband is Urobo. I'm from Edo State. I'm Isha. I can't speak my dialect, but I understand. And that was per virtue of my father. My father schooled in the UK. So when he came back, he refused us speaking our dialect because he said our spoken language reflects on our written work. So because of that, he never allowed us to speak broken English. He never allowed us to speak our native dialect. It was in his old age that he was not trying to get us to speak it, but then it was too late because something that you didn't start with kids at a young age is going to be difficult for you to get it to them when they are already older. And so because of that, but I could understand because of my grandma who stayed in the house, and so that made me understand. Here my husband can speak my dialect, which is Ishan, but he can't speak Urobo. So, and the man factor, he wouldn't want to teach the children that my own dialect because that's not his dialect. So that became a problem. And so then the issue of teaching the children the language became a problem. Now, the only thing that my kids do now is just to greet my husband in his dialect, and that's all. That's all they know. Speaking, if he can't even speak anything or say anything to them that they will understand and for them to even respond. But I think one thing that I know is that any family who comes here, moves abroad, once you are able to speak your dialect back home before you come here, they keep up with it because that's the only way you can actually speak to your children without people interfering in your business. If you want to get your kids to behave themselves outside, it is the language that's going to save you, because here the culture shock here is so bad. It's bad that even your child, you just let your child just goes to school and is squeezing their face. The next thing that happens is that, oh, they are somebody's already asking them questions, and then before you know it, you are seeing child services in your place. I've had an experience with that before. I'll go again to food. Food, luckily here we have African stores that provide most a variety of this food delicacies that we can be able to cook. I'm one to eat fresh vegetables, so my ugus and everything. So I don't have it here. So it's really hard on myself because I can't cope with that. Everything that you have to do here is frozen. Maybe during summer you find a few of the vegetables. So even we have to make do with some what's the word to use now? Some alternatives to what we normally use to prepare most of our native delicacies. Then again, we'll talk about celebrations. Recently, here in Manitoba, the Nigerian community was given the opportunity to start celebrating what they call it, the Nigerian independence. So now that is a celebration that is official here in Manitoba, and so it's something that is being celebrated here. We have religious and cultural festivals. So during summers, most of the time, you have people like maybe like New Year festivals for the Igbos. There are some festivals that some of the Yoruba culture do. So Egba, Ijesha, different. They just bring them out and they do during summer. The Edo people too. We also have our Edo Day. The Robo have their Robo days that they do, and so we always try to incorporate and bring stuff out to be able to, get us to still have a taste of home while we are away. Again, I'm going to be speaking about um, connecting with the diaspora through community. There's a community effort that we do. When I came here, I'll say, like the first speaker said, Khadija said, it's there was a soft landing for us because we had family support before we came. We already had our house rented that we're going to stay. We already had furniture in there. We already had some utensils in there. So when we came in, I think we just had a meal the first night, and then we went out shopping to get some other things that we needed. I was used to driving back in Nigeria, but when I came here, I had to bus for 1 year. Even in the winter, it was crazy. I wish I had a presentation where I could show you pictures of when I had to. I don't like cold, so when I came here, the first thing my mom was kind of scared of was that because I get sick even when rain touches me. So it was so bad that, but there's nothing I can do. I'm in one of the provinces where the winter is crazy and the snow falls like as if it's rainfall. When rain falls in Nigeria and there are some places that is flooded. And here I'm in that kind of zone where if the snow should fall, it's very crazy. And but I bust here for 1 year, and then after that I was able to start getting work. I got a job. Back in Nigeria, I was an accountant. I worked in Intercontinental Bank before I came here. When I came here, I didn't want to go back into banking. So I decided to try my hands on the health sector. And then that's where I got into nursing assistant, and then I started working with Concordia Hospital, and then I was first of all working with a medical clinic. From there, I stopped and then moved on to another place, which is cancer care, where I work right now alongside with Concordia Hospital. Social media, well, here we have a lot of social media influences from here. So we're able to get so much information through social media that was about things that happened back in Nigeria. And that one is also, one of the things that we kind of use to keep ourselves, body, soul, and mind together, where we're looking at Nigeria and then we're also trying to, get some things done. My time is up, but I will just try and brush. I think I have one or two more stuff to say. Now, this last part, passing cultural values to the next generation. I won't lie to you. I don't know where this generation is going to share. The generation that is after us, that generation, it's only God that will help them. I've had instances of where kids who will come and say they don't want to be involved, they don't want to get married. Then the ones that even try and get married tell you they don't want to be parents to children. They say there are 4 babies and they are like, it's touching my head. I don't even know if I can speak. The thing is breaking my skull because I'm like, I don't understand, where did we lose it? And it's not a factor of that is the parents that didn't do their job. It's a factor of what they see around them. I have my own I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I cook. I do bulk cooking because I come from a family where we cook for occasions, for parties, and everything. So even while I was here, sometimes I take orders and cook for people in bulk and all that. And one day she stood and looked at me and said, "Mommy, I don't understand. Why do you give yourself this maximum kind of stress?" And I'm like, "I don't understand. Why will you stress yourself this much just because you want to cook?" I'm like, "But it's something I love." She's like, "I love cooking, but I'm not going to stand here and be cooking for in bulk for people." And I said, "Okay, so if you are living on your own, what are you going to?" She said, "I know what I'm going to eat. I just take a burger apart." And she was listening to things that she's going to, and I'm like, "Hey, wala do, wala de." And I'm like, "No, it's something." No, I can cook. She can cook well, like perfectly well. She makes dishes, she can cook jollof rice well. But she'll tell you, "I will not do it in bulk." So these are the things. So many things are being cut off right now when it comes to cultural values being passed down. Yes, I have a family friend who the daughter, if they teach the daughter how to kneel down when she's Yoruba, she will kneel down and they'll tell her to crawl to go and meet you where you are. And I'm like, that's not even how to do it. But even the girl, she has a way of doing things, and she says things, and I'm like, but this is crazy. But one thing I know is that even the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should grow so that he will not depart from it. The truth is that the way we train up our kids these days is going to count for a lot of things. If we give them this idea that um parenting or anything that we're doing is a lot is so difficult, they're going to see it that way. But if we try to incorporate the culture that we see here and what we have back home, if we try to merge both of them together, it's going to be so okay, because then they will be able to work hand in hand with both of them. No kid, no matter how much you take them back to Nigeria, is going to want to come back, especially those who are already citizens, who already have PRs and stuff that can stay here. They don't want to go back. Imagine right now we have about 1,800 international students from Nigeria alone who are already declaring asylum just because they're trying to cut out the PRO process for when you come as an international student for you to move to become a PRO. So now they are all declaring that no, I cannot go back. So imagine they're already declaring refugee status just because they don't want to go back. And the truth is that there's no child who comes here, sees everything that they are entitled to, the opportunities they are opened to, and we want to go back. Family plays a whole lot of role in the way that we, do things. Lastly, cultural education and programs. I know that with the NAMI here, which is the National Association of Nigerian Association in Manitoba here, they do a lot of programs together with other associations, so like the Yoruba group, like the Edo group, like the Yoruba groups, like the Igbo groups. They do a lot of programs with them to incorporate children, to get them to know things, know what even just what the Nigerian setting is all about, and even why the groups themselves, the subgroups, also talk to their kids too about what the values and the cultures are. I believe that as time goes on, in the diaspora, there are a lot of things that will change. I've seen out there where people lose tradition, people lose a lot of things just because, not because the parents don't care, but because work factor, time factor, takes away most of those things. We have to be deliberate and conscious about the things that we need to do. So that I don't take much of your time. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Nabiyaku. Really, really appreciate you. That was a very explosive one. Quite emotional too, I must say. So we see now that these Japa stories. In fact, I'm getting some feedback already that can we have a part 2? A couple of my friends have chatted me up and said they also want to tell their own stories too. Now, why did we tell them we're having this kind of thing that they're also in the diaspora? So maybe we might have a part 2 in January, and bring more people to come and tell more Japa stories. Then we'll see how it goes. But then, of course, Mr. Popola is also, is coming up with something very powerful too regarding this too. So of course, we'll be communicating more and seeing how that goes. Definitely be happy to work with this with him on this as well. But that's away from that. Thank you so much for that insightful conversation. Of course, letting us understand these realities, especially you having to move down. Especially the part that got me more was, having to, work with the children, especially, getting them to, I could just imagine how much effort that took, the adjustments here and there, among other things. So thank you so much for telling your story, Mrs. Babiyaku. I'll be going right away into the final panel presentation. We'll be talking about impact and legacy, giving back to Nigeria. This session will focus on how diasporans contribute to Nigeria's development with, we're looking at conversations around supporting education and healthcare initiatives, investing and business and sharing expertise, and among others, and of course, advocating for Nigeria's interest globally. So taking this conversation will be Mr. Chinedu Atumonye. So Chinedu is actually a very good friend. I've known him for, I think, Chinedu, that should be almost 30 years now. You can unmute yourself so they can hear you. We're actually classmates in Federal Government College, Idwani, Idwani of those states, and of course, we've always been in touch since then, even way after. So Chinedu has been in Netherlands now for over 10 years, over a decade, right? And of course, he's done a lot of stuff. I'm going to be reading citation now. Chinedu Atumonye is a tech-savvy professional with a solid academic background in computer science and information technology. With over a decade of experience at a multinational beverage company, he has excelled in governance, risk, and control management, covering IT operations, IT security, and enterprise risk management. Chinedu has also contributed to global development through consultancy with the United Nations International Organization for Migration. As a diaspora consultant in the Connecting Diasporas for Development CD4D program, he shared his expertise with key Nigerian institutions such as NIGECOMSAT in Abuja and NIHOT in Ibadan, focusing on capacity building initiatives. His leadership extends to community development, having served on the board of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe, NIDOE, at both the continental and the Netherlands chapter levels. Chinedu's work reflects his commitment to leveraging technical expertise for impactful global collaboration and capacity building. Thank you so much, Chinedu. So I'm going to be handing over the floor to you. I see somebody mentioned, welcome, Senior Chinedu. I'm sure that's somebody from FGC Idwani. So, all right, well done. So, Chinedu, you have the floor. Thank you so much. 10 minutes, please, so we don't exceed our time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, David. Please let me know if you can hear me very well.
It's a bit, I don't know, we're struggling to actually hear you. I'm struggling to hear you. It sounds a bit echoed, like an echo.
That will be a bit of a challenge because I'm outside. Let me see what I can do. Yeah.
Okay.
If you can.
All right. I think we'll just maybe have to manage. You might just have to project a bit louder, maybe into the mic.
Okay. I'm using a headset. If I have to switch to my tablet, it will be a bit difficult. But I can try.
Not a problem.
Yeah. If you need me to echo up a little bit, then I'll try. I have to do this Benga because, of course, you've come a long way. And
yeah,
I would say you can argue that it's also paying back good times, right? I know how you had to make sure that you were available for my wedding all the way in the East. I don't take such things for granted. But much more than that, I know we've come a long way since between 1995 and 2001 in Federal Government College.
Yeah.
Yes, so I actually had to be here. I'm currently not in the Netherlands. I'm in the UK right now, where I have to be with family for a bit of holiday. So I'm outside. I'm a little bit, did I say, spoiling the show because we have a lot of things to do. But it's okay. Who am I? Yeah, Linda has done a bit of introduction. I try sometimes to mask where I work, but just for the purpose of this particular session, just to give the context before going into a bit more details, I'll just give it. I work for a multinational beverage company in very clear terms because I have to explain, did I really Japa, did I not Japa? So I used to work for Nigerian breweries. Many people don't know, but Nigerian breweries is pretty much owned by a multinational company called Heineken International, right? So Nigerian breweries is one of the operating companies. So Heineken has built operations in multiple countries of the world, and present is pretty much all of them. Nigerian breweries is just one of them. And I used to work for Nigerian breweries. If you work for Nigerian breweries, you technically work for Heineken if you don't have a Heineken contract. And yeah, I was there for just a bit of time, and I was looking at my life. Okay, it was a pretty much good job. Very young man, stepping out of school, already had a manager position. Yeah, life was good in all sense of the word. Good. I think the economy was still great. But I was speaking with some leaders of the company, and then I realized that even if I was doing quite a lot at that age, very tender age, maybe I still have capacity to do more. And I was really looking for more things to do, right? In terms of much more impact that I can make. And that was how I decided to say, okay, I need something else. At that point in time, I spoke with my head of department. Can you find something else for me? Maybe I was in IT then, maybe sales, marketing. Anyway, I was even up open to positions outside of the company. And coincidentally, I then realized that, hey, I work for the multinational. Maybe I can find something elsewhere. And then I just went on to the global portal of the company. I started seeing roles in Switzerland. I saw roles in the Netherlands. And I just filled the application, right? Interestingly, long story short, the guys in Switzerland did not come back to me. After a while, they came back and said, yeah, no, they filled it with somebody else that was much more meeting the requirements for the job. But the guys in the Netherlands came and said, they need to have a conversation. Back to back, before I knew it, I was asked to relocate from Nigeria to the Netherlands. For context, the Netherlands is the global head office for Heineken, and I was asked to relocate to take up a position in the global head office. So for me, that was a huge leap. So and this was in 2018. So when I sometimes reflect, did I really Japa from the context of the word Japa? I said, not exactly. I was not looking out for leaving the country. I was just looking for opportunity to do something more. Something more could be anywhere. It could be in a different department. It could be in a different country. And a different department, different countries came to fruition, which was I had to leave the IT department to the global audit department to the global head office for Heineken. And that has, what it has been. I see that from, of course, some of our panelists have talked a little bit about integration and staying connected. I have a bit of, should I say, not different opinion, but a very strong opinion about that before I come into the new context of our conversation. I think as much as it's important to then with Japa in quotes, because if you look at it now from the word of Japa, people can then begin to argue, I Japa, yeah, no wahala. If you say I Japa, it's okay. But this was in 2018 before Japa was the thing. I think it's much more important to be integrated in the society that you find yourself as much as you want to stay connected. For me, that's extremely important. I live in a country where English is not the first language, is Dutch. Their ways are a little bit different. But in as much as you think that this is a better place for you to live your life or bring up your family, I think it's also important that the values that kept that society going, try as much as possible to understand it and be integrated in it. It's not every time they're looking for our pounded yam or our egusi soup here and there. Also think, okay, waiting is, make these people bigger, go out for lunch with them, understand what kind of food do we eat, and show a bit of interest in their culture, what exactly cracks them up. Because, I work for a multinational where you have meetings and the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the meeting, small talk, you have to crack them joke. I cannot be talking about basketball and bowling. You really have to understand what cracks them up into the weather. So you really have to find a way to be integrated so that you can fit into the society, you can make an impact, not just for yourself, but also have an opportunity for career advancement. But I'm not talking about that. I'll really be talking about impact. So what impact can you make when you input Japa? I thought I could look at the concept of impact from 3 different perspectives because I have really good experiences to share, right? I was just looking up statistics and I saw that as of November of 2024, from an impact perspective, there is one part that you really cannot take out. There is a whole lot of inflow coming from people who have Japa back home. That's an impact, uncontested. Very, very uncontested, right? So, I think somebody is muted. James, yeah. So that's an uncontested impact, in my own opinion. You have statistics I checked. They said $600 million on a monthly basis is the response that the diasporans send back home. You see that they are paying school fees or they are paying hospital bills or whether they are building houses for themselves or for their parents. There's always something happening back home that money is being sent. And I dare to say, I strongly argue that this amount maybe 2 times. It will be 1.2 billion. I'll tell you why. Simply because the majority of these funds flowing back from this diaspora place back home, with majority of the ones that hit back home, they are not accounted for. They don't send them through the normal channel because people are looking for the best of interest rates. Maybe you are looking for, okay, you have dollar, I have naira, make you just swap them in a way. And it's not passing through the financial input. So it's like a backdoor thing, which is not illegal. You can argue legality or illegality from a different perspective. But the point I'm trying to make is that official figures, it says $600 million monthly. I argue that that's maybe 2 times or 3 times the amount. That's one impact. So I'm looking at impact from 3 perspectives. I use the word individual, I use the word collective impact, and I would also look at impact from an organizational perspective. Interestingly, I have stories that I can quickly explain. Sorry, Brenda, if you can let me know what time on the clock am I supposed to stop, or how many minutes have I been speaking for, so I can really.
Okay, all right. You've been speaking for about 7 minutes, so technically you should have 3 more minutes.
Okay,
but
great.
I would allow you. I would allow you another 5. So let's do under 5 minutes for you.
Okay. So if I look at impact from an individual perspective, the story I just talked about of the refund back home, $600 million on a monthly basis, I dare to say that everybody who has opened on this store and live in a foreign country, they have something that they send back home, maybe on a monthly basis, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on impulse, and that's an individual impact that you already know. From a collective basis, there are a couple of things that happen. Maybe I can use my own stories to give how you can really make an impact. I realized that I've been here already outside of the country for 6+ years. I left in 2018, and in that 6 years, I've had a lot of friends that really hold me in high esteem. I mean, I can call on them and they would answer. And I was making a joke with one of them. I was visiting one, was born in the UK, but he lives in the Netherlands. He got married to a guy who, anyway, long story short, they are my friends. And then he said, let's go bowling. I'm even in a bowling shop, actually. And we were struggling to find dates. And I said, okay, I have a lot of friends. You may not have met them. Can we do something? And I created a program called Bowling for Impact. It was a very simple thing. How much will it cost people to enroll? I just did a bit of sampling. People were more than happy to pay as much as 30 euros, 40 euros for a game of bowling. I said, okay, you can pay that 30. It gives you access to the bowling club. It also gives you like 1 free pass for a drink. And then I was shocked that a lot of friends showed interest, more than I think 50 of them. Within 50 or so. Lots of cash were already raised. And we called it Bowling for Impact. Very simple strategy. I said, if you are making a reservation for the bowling, also at the same time, give 1 or 2 or 3 impactful projects back to the Bowling for Impact. And then whoever wins the game of bowling would have to select from the project, and then we can fund it. Long story short, I was shocked that just that idea had a lot of questions. A guy worked, very big friend, he works for Booking.com. And interestingly, it was a French impactful project. It was a cancer agency back in Nigeria. We were able to, in just one night, raise 800 euros that could attend to cancer patients back home. That's on a communal level. And I dare to say that so many persons are doing something similar in one way, shape, or form. From an organizational perspective, I've been already here for 6 years. I think I've pretty much entered into the fabric of the society. I belong to quite a number of organizations. And then 1 way, 2 ways, the United Nations get involved, the International Organization for Migration, they have this activity for this program for making Diaspora for development. But from an organizational perspective, what I was able to do, which I think made a lot of sense, sponsored by the Dutch government at that point in time, they got like 3 thematic areas from Nigeria back home, which was on ICT, agriculture, and health. And then they got some fund available to say, okay, can we look for diasporans who are part of these countries that have a lot of ideas, knowledge, experiences to shape these things back home? And by that UN-sponsored program, I was connected. I was in Abuja. I was connected with the Nigerian Communication Settlement. I had to be flown back to, um, to the office in Abuja to help them uh, do some projects that they were running at that time. I also was connected to NIHOT, this National Horticultural Center in Ibadan, and for another project that was done entirely remotely. But I know a few other friends who did some things in health, who did some things in agriculture. You know, that for me again was another kind of creating an impact from an organizational point of view back home. I was actually again a board member of the Nigerians in Diaspora organization. It's actually a Diaspora organization set up by Obasanjo when he was president Papa back again. That really helped to identify talent, diaspora talent back home and connect them to policies of the Nigerian government. You know, see how they can tap into the experience and knowledge of people who are living outside of the country. Even if I have my bit of reservation, I think as much as possible when you find your way out, always think back, and that's what drives me. From a middle perspective, every year towards the National Diaspora Day, which happens sometime in July, they usually have this a week in and for Nigeria, where they look at a couple of projects, smaller projects. The last one that was done, for instance, was building like a borehole in all geopolitical zones, looking for motherless babies home or orphanage homes, and doing one or two projects there. But quite a number of things happen from that perspective, just from the concepts of what can we give back, you know, to the society that we came from. But then there are stories, there are diaspora stories that inspired me as well. For instance, I went to the University of Benin for my bachelor's degree. There's a guy called Professor Mani Anie Bonham. I think he's this diaspora guy from the US that has been able to come back home and did a lot of things in the ICT sector. So I think he has this something hub. I've forgotten the exact name that he builds across multiple schools to just try to spark up IT knowledge at that point in time. There's another guy again, I think he's a recent guy, and that guy inspired me a whole lot. I follow him on LinkedIn. Dr. Julius Kunle, so Kunle is a great guy. This guy actually left his life in the US. I think that was a bit on the extreme, but it's working for him. He was a medical doctor, orthopedics. He does a lot of knee replacement surgery. He had a fellowship already going for him in Johns Hopkins University, one of the biggest and best in the United States. But he packed up his luggage with his wife and his kids. He came back home. I met him in Abuja the last time for the National Diaspora Day. Actually, he was invited by Smithton. He came back home, and then he's actually creating serious impact. What did he do? He created or he made like a small hospital because he said his grandma died of like broken knees or blah blah blah. But he's now helping people get a life by helping them doing some knee replacement surgery, a capability that he thinks was not available back home. But on top of that, he's also training doctors, you know, to be able to do the same thing even when he's not around. So there are a couple of things that are happening, I think, from a diaspora perspective. I'm also happy with my position in NIDO, Nigerians in Diaspora. I've also been fortunate that the European government called us once, and yeah, we were taken at that point in time to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Spain. That was in Madrid, where we're looking at diaspora, not from now a Nigerian perspective or from a worldwide perspective, and how we can begin to shape policies. At that point in time, what we were striving for was we're calling that. Yeah, I was just thinking round up with this particular one, which I think make a lot of sense. So we're trying to see how we can influence policies in foreign countries, specifically now in Europe, where I am, to say those reforms that you send back home, can we try to see how we can make them tax-free? Of course, taxes here are pretty expensive, but if you work in the same place with a foreigner, let me say I'm here in the Netherlands, with a Dutch guy, who doesn't have commitment that he has to do from a black tax perspective, as we like to call them. And we're trying to, you know, have communication with the European government to see how can we leverage on those reforms going back home and see how we can make them tax-free so that we can really spice things up and help even much more those diaspora support back home. But wrap up. I mean, from an impact perspective, I think for you to be able to make impact, it has to be at the back of your mind. You can do it really from an individual perspective. You can also do it from a collective or also from an organization that really ties to the interests that we're looking after. I would stay back. Do you have any questions? I'm really happy to see all of the, not faces, but icons that share the little that I can actually contribute to this particular person.
Thank you so much, Chinedu. Awesome. Please let's keep the appreciations coming. Please let's have a claps and all that. Thank you so much for that. I mean, looking at it's been talking about impact, right? I mean, giving back to Nigeria basically, and we've seen a lot of conversation about impact and legacy and how through organizational, from an organizational perspective, an individual perspective, or a collective perspective, you're able to actually make a lot of impact as a Nigerian in diaspora. So, of course, if you have questions, you could just start putting them in the comment section. I see I have a hand. Somebody raised the hand earlier. Is that Ngozi Mary? If you have a question, you could just raise your hand or you could just type it in the comment section. We're about to go into the panel, but I'm thinking because of the way we've overshot our time, we'll just merge the panel discussions together with the quick Q&A session. So you can ask your questions simultaneously, and at the same time, we just get to keep talking at the panel level. Yes. Okay. Thank you for your comments. I think we see some comments there. Thank you. Let me see if I can read some very quickly. Oh, there've been a lot of them. Oops. Okay. And normally I used to write. I always read this comments while the meeting is going on. Okay, let me just pick some very pointed ones. Okay, the soft landing is my action point. Okay, that was from Fisayo. I think that was from one of the points of Khadijat Karim earlier. Okay, I said deciding not to return before setting out is wild. That's deep. That's deep. I think that was in response to Mr. Kupola earlier on. Okay, resident building a community of like minds. Okay, I think that was Fisayo as well, putting something there. Be humble and have a change of mind. Okay, don't set your expectations too high. Okay, that's deep. I think that's from Chinemere. Never compare yourself with anybody. Have a deep motivation. Follow one plan at a time. Okay, all right. We see a lot of comments that have come in so far. I'm just trying to see how much we can catch. But you can always see all those comments in the comment section. Just click on that. Abroad Nigeria relationship is scary. Okay, all right, and all of that. So we see a lot of. Please just feel free to catch up at this point. But I see a question now for Mr. Pope from Fisayo Adebi. He says, my question goes to Mr. Pope. Why did you say that you don't want to mingle with blacks? Okay, somebody's trying to shake a table now. So, Mr. Pope, you want to respond to this hot seat question?
Yes, I want to actually. Thank you very much for that question. Well, the decision for us. Well, because I wouldn't say it for me, because it was a decision between me and my wife. Decision for us not to, it's not like we're not mingling with blacks, but we just wanted to stay a bit away. And the reason is because they are multi-pronged, actually. First is the issue of, don't forget, like I said, when I was speaking, I've been here a number of times on holidays. I see how blacks, especially in very, to be very pointed now, Nigerians relate. A lot of people believe that when you move into a new country, you should move into your own community where you have your own people and all of that. But I've also seen a lot of challenges coming from that angle. First of all, you're going to be, for a family that is just settling down, you're going to be getting yourself involved in unnecessary competition. Okay, we know how we are, especially when you're moving into a community where you have Nigerians that have been there for many years. Your kids are going to be exposed to these people, and they are going to start unnecessary competition. And you are just trying to survive. You're just trying to get yourself together. But their kids are talking about going on holiday to Paris. They're talking about going on holiday to places, and you don't even have funds to take them to Manchester, for instance, for a sightseeing. So they put you on under unnecessary pressure. And then also based on my personal experience with the religious setting in Nigeria, I said, you know what, we are not going to a Niger church. We will go to Church of England. And when we moved into our new church, to our church, we were actually the only black family. So it was easy for my kids to blend because it's a different mindset. We're not competing. These are people that will wear jumper or wear slippers or whatever, to church. They don't care how they look. They just, it's like taking the pressure away from my family. That's why we made that decision that, you know what, we're going to stay away from that community. We relate with them. We have friends among them. If I feel like hanging out, for instance, I drive about 40 minutes to Manchester to go and hang out with my friends, all black community, all Nigerians. But I get back home and I always tell my kids something. When you are in my house, you are in Nigerian embassy. When you step out of the door, you are in the UK. But inside this house, it is Nigerian embassy. So whatever it is that you have been doing back in Nigeria is what you are going to be doing here, just to maintain that cultural, identity for them. But for me, it is not about whether I hate Nigerians or it's based on my experience and the fact that I want some level of sanity for my family to start with, rather than getting into unnecessary and unhealthy competition.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Fubuola, for that. I think I hope that answers your question, Fisayo. Okay, I see okay, thank you. I see hands. Please keep them coming. I see I see your comment there. Okay, Miss Mabiyaku. That was my decision too. I don't go to a Nigerian church and I don't stay in an area where we have lots of Nigerians. Okay, now it's making me look like I mean, like we see kids who have our trust issues even outside Nigeria, outside the shores of Nigeria. I mean, maybe that's just the way it sounds, but one way or the other, true. I can totally understand the reasons why this might be the best thing to do. I totally stand with your point there, Mr. Popola, on the issue of competition. You don't want to come into a new situation and find yourself doing all of that. It's definitely not a good one for mental health. Okay, I think Mrs. Mabiyaku wants to make a point there. You have the floor, ma. You can unmute yourself and speak. Mrs. Cynthia Mabiyaku.
Okay, sorry about that. So here's the thing. I want to explain why I'm with Pope on this. See, the truth is that it's not anything about we hate Nigerians or Nigerians have this ability to form cliques within themselves. So you come to a different place, to a different terrain. You're supposed to have a community and you're supposed to, help yourselves, push yourself forward. But you find out that the person that is even killing you at work is the same person that's supposed to be in your community helping you out. Your kid and this other Nigerian kid goes to school together. And then instead of you'll be looking for a way to, facilitate that. Okay, how do we carpool so that not everybody is driving their cars to school, or let the kids work together? You sideline your kid. At a particular, when I had my baby here, I needed someone to take my 9-year-old daughter, Mr. Sile knows her, to school. And I asked 2 Nigerian families, please, can you help me? They gave me one excuse to the other, how they couldn't and how it wasn't possible and everything. The last resort I had was the white person that was just across my street, my neighbor across. And I ran to her with this fear and trembling, like they would tell me no. In fact, I barely said anything, and they were like, oh, they will help me out. And then if I'm too stressed and I need time out from the baby, I can bring the baby over so that I can have some me time to myself. And I was looking at, where? In this place. Not to say that you don't have the ones that are bad with the colored people, but the truth is that Nigerians will do you shaggy pro max, that you'll be sitting there, you'll be asking yourself, even the other people, the other continents and other people will be looking at people and like, are they not supposed to be the people together? So I feel that when we do these things, yeah, that's why when I was talking about cultural integration, I said that it is the family, you, the parents, that will be able to inculcate. So I still go along with what Pope is saying. When you are in your house, you are in the Nigerian embassy. When you're out, you behave out there. But you see, the children will not be able to function well if you. So I have people who take their kids to to a school where they say you virtually have almost all Nigerians in that school. It's a private school, and so it's just the same status quo, the same thing. But we're not integrating into the culture. You cannot get these children to learn this culture, to get this thing, to be able to understand and integrate it into the stream of affairs of things that they do. Because I still say it, and I say it over and over again. Even sometimes my husband will be like, I don't understand how you reason like that, but I still say it. These kids will not go back. So the sooner you begin to let your mentality glide on that forum and know that, okay, how best can we utilize where we are now at? Yes, you as an adult, you might decide that, okay, after a particular point in time, you can decide that, okay, I might retire back home. But again, so that also requires that you keep ties back home, so that when you finally go back home, you are not alone and lonely. Because if you don't keep your ties back home, then you decide to retire back home. You retire back home to loneliness that will kill you faster. But again, I also understand that you have to. Most people they still can't adapt to what is happening in the diaspora here. They can't circumvent some of the laws and the rules. They can't even, like, okay, man and woman can't even sit down together and say, okay, let the man be washing dishes, and the man be like, for what? Me, for why? No, but they don't understand that. It's you see this Japa story, there's so many things to it. There's so many dynamics to it. There's so many things to it. If two people come together and decide I want to Japa, they had better sit down and discuss the pros and cons before they come, because this place will throw you bass. When you are done, the fact, if you survive it, you should be so happy and thankful to God, because not many people survive it. The culture changes here. When a woman gives birth, the man will sit down and be taking care of baby, changing diaper. The woman is lying, and they will be like, for what? A typical traditional man will say, for what? What's nonsense? But if it's not something that a man has been doing back in Nigeria with his other kids, trust me, he cannot do it here. And he will find it insulting and degrading to his personality as a man to do those things. I don't want to digress more, because like I said, the truth is, in the diaspora, there are so many things that revolve around us. And the key point that we have to factor on is the fact that our kids are the major reasons why we did this Japa stuff. And for you to be able to utilize everything that you are getting in the diaspora, you have to navigate your way around the culture that you are in right now. Because it's like I said, my kids don't eat Nigerian food. There's only once in a while that my son will say, Mommy, can I eat eba and soup? All kinds of egg. They don't eat the eba itself, that's the gari. They call the poundo eba. So it's all referred to as eba and soup. Any soup. So it's eba soup. But they eat it once in a while. Once I make that soup once, so I don't make it much. Once I make it once, it's only my husband and I that eat the Nigerian food. My children don't eat them. If they're not eating, but I try to incorporate healthy into it, so that at least they can. But the truth is, if you're not doing these things, if you're not deliberate about it, it's either the children get lost, or your marriage and your relationship just gets broken. And these are not things that you really want to do. So I say we should just, in fact, let's live and let love lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that fantastic contribution. I think Chinedu had a hand too. Chinedu, you have the floor, please. I think you wanted to contribute to this.
Yes. Just in context, right? You asked me to talk about the impact. And when I look at this, our Japan stories, two narratives from Nigerians in diaspora, I think there are so many perspectives that we can approach this topic from. And if you ask me, maybe you want to make it a bit topical, and at different instances, if you unpack or unravel one particular topic, there's a whole lot of things to talk about. Whether it's in terms of schooling, academics, whether it's in terms of living, whether it's in terms of working, because I actually relocated by work, right? So when I talk to people who came in to school, it's a totally different experience. When I talk to people who came in, maybe feel like a different kind of migration route, whether seeking asylum, totally different mindset, different experience. But what I wanted to say, because of what the last madam was explaining, was what I call, and I like to tell everybody who I meet that just joins us, what I call the unintended consequences of relocation. So most of the times, what you see is that people are very excited. Oh yeah, we want Japa. Hey, if I don't Japa, and then when you take photographs or you have a video, or even they see the kids, like my daughter just came now. All they see, maybe they hear one kind of funny speaking or nice photographs at the background, winter jacket. It's all looking rosy. But there's no unintended consequences of relocation that people should be mindful of. And I always tell, I think Japa in quotes or living abroad is not for everybody. And when people think that, oh, once I just travel out like this, I will just hammer. I tell people that what happens abroad, I think one of your speakers also talked about it, is that when you put in the work, you see the results. So if you are idiot back home, the Japa that you Japa will explain and open up your idiotness or whatever you want to call it, and really expose it even more. If you are okay and smart, or if you are whatever word to put, it amplifies it, right? So, but the unintended consequences I want to talk about, whether it's in terms of subtle or very aggressive racism, microaggression or macroaggression, depending on where you are, that's one part you have to be mindful of. I can understand when people say they want to stay away from a black community just because of the mindset thing. That's the unfortunate reality that people leave Nigeria or people leave Africa. The Nigeria or the Africa does not leave them. And it's not a sometimes good association you want to keep if you are bringing up little ones. For you, you are an adult, you can meander yourself and manage it. But for the health, state of mind, and also for the adaptability, and also how the kids blend into the society, it may not be a good association. Right? There are also unintended consequences like even orientation, whether it's sexual orientation or any other kind of orientation that you can keep about. I used to think before I relocated, for clarity's sake, the Netherlands is the most, I argue, is the most open culture or society you can think about. I think it's in this country that the first open gay parade ever happened, and every year they did this gay pride where they sampled their colors. I used to think that I was a very open person, but I think this country stretched the limit of my openness. I was wowed as to what I see here. And for you again, as an adult, like I say, you're okay. But for the kids, it's a pretty slippery slope for them to navigate. And that presence, that parental guidance, you just have to be there. It's a different kind of upbringing for the kids with all of this openness that you instill discipline in the kids that you do here and back home, right? So many unintended consequences. Whether you work, I work in a multinational, it's difficult. And people from multiple different countries, contracts being terminated because they just cannot connect to the culture of the work environment. So even when you say, oh, you want Japa, you don't see job or you don't see skill, can you fit into the society? You have to ask yourself so many questions. It tells a lot on you as a person that you just have to be malleable. You really have to be able to adapt to changing circumstances and really understand. Also understanding again that your education, I'm sorry to say, your educational setup for education does not set you up for success if you have to live here. The way kids are taught back home and the way work is done here, or the way kids are taught here, are two different ways. Specifically, kids are doing la cram, la pour, la part. You just cram between the core it with that. Here, kids are taught really practical orientation and concepts and how they can really do applications of the concepts that are. So when you meet them in meetings, how they interact in meetings and also how they behave and in the work environment is a reflection of how they have been taught in school. If you just carry your la cram, la pour, la pass, come because you think say you make first class, you think say you be hot. The work environment will expose your educational, I don't know if you know the word that I can use. Your illiteracy. I think that's the better word, right? Also, from a home perspective, Japa, you want Japa. Can you really do the Japa thing? I mean, I, I, I got married while I was here. My wife had to join me before our first baby came. And I make a joke that the way this country has set me up, I'm more like an assistant midwife. I'm not kidding. I am an assistant midwife because my wife at that time did not work. Even while I worked, I make a joke, which is so true, that I have probably changed diapers more than she had. Because it's not all of this male role, female role, saying a man they do this, not the woman work. Oga, you will work, oh. If you are you will do the work. There is no if your wife has to, I think somebody was talking about cooking and not cooking. Oga, you will wash plates. If madam is because you wash plates, oh, I'm the one that cleans the house. My wife now has to go to school full time. I have to work full time. So there is no maid in the house. You will work. If you have to feed the kids, you will feed them. If you have to brace them, clothe them, you will change diaper, you will do it. There is no man work. No. So there are these unintended consequences. I mean, back home, you feed day after work, you go back, go drink, madam go do it. It means nobody cares in quotes because there are a lot of support. Like, as a man here, there is no, I'm a man. No, forget your manhood. So, in quotes, to wrap up, the unintended consequences, you have to explain, I think somebody used the word pros and cons, but the holistic Jackpot thing to say, okay, is this for me? Can I cope if I'm going for a school, or if I'm going for a job? Do I really understand the cultural context, the expectation, the environment I'm going into? What can I do differently to set myself up for success so that we don't have these issues where at the end it now becomes a story for the judge or because I think
All right.
maybe multiple different perspectives that you can think of when it comes to your thinking of the Japan stories, and then you can be able to tackle them topically. That's what I just trying to say.
Thank you so much, Chinedu. Thank you. Powerful, powerful. I love the way you broke it down, exploring different angles from that. And of course, thank you to Miss Cynthia for earlier. There's a question for you here, though, from Fisayo Adebiyi again. He said also, Mrs. Cynthia, what are the opportunities that international students see in diaspora that don't want them to come back to Nigeria? So that's for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, hold on.
Oh, you're muted, ma.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to find the space to talk in. Okay, so the thing is, oh sorry. So the thing is, thank you. For international students, when you finish going to school, the best bet for you is that you will be able to get a job. Even while you're working, you can still get a job, though the hours are limited, but you will get a job related to your work study. So let's say you study like something like social work, you're able to get into the social work environment and be able to work with it. And you're not made to feel that your 3 years or 4 years of study in school was a total waste, because then after going to study biochemistry, after putting in all the work and everything, you're trying to find a job and then you can't get that job. And next thing that happens is that you are found to be looking for something different. So that's where the problem is. That's what they see here. They see the ease at which they are able to move life. It might not even be in the same province where they went to school. They might even find better opportunities in a different province where they are able to go. Sometimes you don't even have to go to a university here. When you come here, you go to a college, and after college you're able to do, like, see, a plumber here, and what my salary will be What I will spend 8 hours working, a plumber will just get it in 1 hour. That's just for coming to check what the problem is. He will get it. His first consultation fee is like $100 something back. Then after that, you are so here you are encouraged to even do handy work, which is like your carpentry, your plumbing, your electrical work, and all those stuff. Those things even pay more than the university degrees that most of us are even running to. So for any international student who is wanting to come, you have to make sure that you're setting your goals and focusing your eyes on what you know is going to make ways for you. Don't go with the Nigerian mentality that if you are not a doctor, then you cannot be anything in this life. You don't go with that mentality that if you are not what are so like, oh, if you don't read one big, if you're not a dentist, like those were the big courses that those days, if you don't read them, or you're not an accountant. I studied accounting in Nigeria. I worked in the bank. I'm coming here, I'm going back into the health sector because that was where I actually started from the beginning. I was first in pharmacy before I switched over back to accounting. So the truth is that I see where I think it's Pope that said if you have a plan, you have so many plans, but do one plan at a time. Sometimes while he was speaking, it's like he was just taking the key points from my head and was just putting them down, and I'm like, okay, he has said what I would have said, okay, I said what I would have said. And the truth is that there's no going back from those words. You have to hold on to those words because see, once you make your plan, you have to just focus and key into it. These are the things that people don't understand. Gone are the days when you force children now to say, okay, you must be this. If you come into school, okay, let me give an example because it's still about. I have a family who came in here as they brought one of their child, first of all, as an international student. They brought him to read one kind of very big fancy course. The boy came, he's struggling with the course. They tried to tell him, they say, hey, he will come like this, go like this, go like this. They brought the second son to come and read. That one now has left from year one. I think he's going to his third year now. The first son is still struggling to even finish his year one courses because he's not able to. He's just struggling here and there. Now I've spoken to the parents and say, okay, remove him from the university, take him to a technical school where he can do something that is handiwork that will. It's not it, and they are just because we always have that mindset and that mentality that if you have not read one kind of very fancy named course, then you are nothing. No, like I said, a plumber, only 1 hour, we get the amount of money that I will work for 8 hours. And yet, if they still live, they drive the biggest cars, they live the biggest life. I'm just there struggling. We'll do 8 hours. Sometimes I'm fighting with one person, or one person is fighting with me, or one patient is doing this, or so just back and forth like that. But yeah, that one will just come just to look at it, and if it's something that he needs to buy, I mean, why his workmanship is counting there. Per hour is already due, so he might just come now and spend only 10 minutes to do what he needs to do, but he has collected that money for per hour and he has gone and he has made his cash full time. That's with the exemption of your consultation fee that you pay first. So these are the things that we need to let people know. So when you are coming as an international student, make sure that you know what you are doing. But now you have to also still be on guard, because I don't know about any other place. I don't know about any other, but I know that right now in Canada, there's a toning down of influx of international students, because what they want to do is that even if you come as an international student, they don't want you to stay anymore. You are going to go back. They don't want you to stay. So because immigration is full, there's so many things going on now. If that pathway comes again, and people should key into it and come in, but like I said, you have to also know why you are coming in, and you have to key into what you are going to be studying, because you don't just come and study a fancy course just because it is fancy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. Fantastic. I'm just looking at the comments again quickly. All right, quite a lot of them here. It's okay. 100. Okay, wow. Kids are the major reasons for Japa. Okay, I think this is okay. I see a hand from Khadija. Okay, fine, Khadija, please, you have the floor. Let's hear you too. I was actually about to call you then. Let's just run through the. All right, okay. Please go ahead.
So, yeah. Oh, my camera is off. Okay, yeah. So thank you. I was just going to speak quickly on what Mrs. Cynthia said last about the international pathway. It's still open, but just like as she have said, the courses that we think are the big courses that can actually make you stay back may not be the big ones that may not be the ones that will make you stay back now. So you have to be strategic about the course you want to come and do. If you're coming to do that plumbing that she's talking about, you can stay back. But we are coming to do my type of course now, business management. You cannot stay back anymore. You can stay back as a visitor, but you no longer get a postgraduate work permit. But if you are coming to do trades like plumbing, automobile, and all of that, even there's this course in Ontario now is aviation and pilot or something, is about 16 months. I think you do just 3 months of classes, and the rest is a hands-on course, and you can stay back. Those are the courses: fashion, hairdressing, and all of that you can do in colleges and can stay back. Or you want to do a master's degree or a PhD, then you can stay back. But the challenge with Canada is for master's degree, most schools you need a 2-1. They don't take 2-2. Most schools don't take 2-2. Just a few schools that offers maybe like this business school in Ontario, business management and all of that. But to be very factual with you, business management and all those big courses that we see, accounting, are not, they are not the one for the best pathway to stay back right now. So, and that is why I try to integrate my own pathway now to the health sector. When I was looking for a job, because I was already in the health sector and I didn't want to derail from my career path, I looked for a job in a care home as an administrator. At some point, I can decide to go back to the floor as an healthcare aide. Meanwhile, I'm still keeping my healthcare aide job. I'm never leaving that. That's the fact. I enjoy doing it. And at the end of the day, I might end up going for nursing assistant like Miss Cynthia, because it's actually an enjoyable work. It's something you like doing, especially when you have grandparents back home and you're now working with the seniors here. It's quite interesting. So for people that want to come in as students, just put your ears on the ground and make sure you research very well. Don't jump into, I want to go and do accounting, I want to go and do business managing, I want to go and do architecture or something. Even I'll tell you now, a cook, if a professional cook, you have a better pathway than myself that did business management if you are just coming to do business management. Because the part of business management, if you're just coming in now to do business management as at November 30th, you will not get a postgraduate work permit again. So please look at, courses that naturally in Nigeria, I'll say lie, not be me. Those are the courses that, are hot cake here. So look at them, and believe me, before you finish, you are getting your, in fact, in Manitoba now, Red River College, my school, U of M, there is no space for support work and healthcare aid till 2026, 2027 now. They don't have offers again. It's all closed because those are the courses that will make you stay back. So please just put your ears down, research very well before you just jump into any course. So the study pathway is still open, and to be sincere, they are not, as far as I understand, Nigerians are not the problem. There's a particular, country that they are focusing on, because like me now, I applied for my postgraduate work permit, and in 24 hours, I got a response that I can start working till they make a decision. While some of my classmates that are from other countries, they ask them to resubmit all their documents for them to even apply for a postgraduate work permit. So I would just say that they are not questioning us too, but we are not their focus, because you hardly see in Nigeria use a fake, what's it called? We don't even do English tests from Nigeria. These people said they did English tests from Nigeria. You ask them to retake the English test here, and it's, it's very difficult for them to get the BRS minimum and all of that. So it's a lot of things are changing. I hope we don't also mess up the study route for ourselves as Nigerians, but the focus is really not on us. If you do a good course, the pathway is still very, very smooth for Nigerians. They are really focusing on those guys. They really want them out, I had to do an English test for me to apply for my postgraduate work permit, while somebody that's finished in August didn't have to do that. But I had to do that. So please put your eyes on the ground, look at those courses: hairdressing, cooks, plumbing, we call it mechanic in Nigeria. But trust me, mechanics are richer than, even maybe a doctor. I'm not saying those professions are not good, but if you're not starting that profession, like, you need more certification here. To be a doctor in Nigeria and just come and start practicing, I don't think it works that way. I know in the UK you have to take some exams and all of that. I don't really know about Canada here. So if, maybe your child now that you brought in as a child now wants to go do medicine. Oh yeah, good. There's still money there, but there are still some other professions that, you know, silently we look at them as dirty jobs. But sometimes when I get to job and I see the cars my colleagues drive, I will be like, is it the same seniors we are all taking care of? Like, it's really, you know, it's the other way around here. You know, there's dignity in labor here. It's the other way around here. So thank you. That's just what I wanted to add.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Khadija. Thank you for that. So yes, a few other questions. Okay, I see some questions here earlier. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, I think Ayomiko Kenny has a hand. I think I saw your hand just now. All right, you can unmute yourself so you can ask your question. You have a yes. Ayomiko Kenny.
No, good evening. Sorry, that was an error. I've enjoyed the conversation so far.
Okay,
Thank
fantastic. Okay, fine. I saw the hand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, okay, I see a question. Let me just take some comments. There have been a lot I had to skip though. Okay, you will learn the hard way. Always learning the hard way. Shared home responsibilities are a must in abroad. Okay, some men find home chore sharing a major challenge, especially as men rightfully need not to do house chores in Nigeria. Interested. All right, Ms. Khadija Karim, why are the requirements to have? Okay, what are the requirements to have a soft landing? Okay, this question sounds a bit funny. Did you create your soft landing yourself? I think that's a question for you quickly, Khadija. Let's have it.
No, I didn't create my soft landing myself. You know, when I was preparing to come, I first I got admission in 2 schools in Toronto, Cambridge College and Fashion College. So when I weighed my options, I looked at it. My parents are in Michigan, so there's a border in Toronto that's close to Michigan. I was thinking, oh, that will be a bit close for me, you know, because the plan was I was going to come with my kids. My husband would just be popping in and out. So I need to find a permanent solution for my kids. Because if you have a child of under 5 years, child care is a bit expensive. You have to queue for what's it called now? The government child support and all of that. So I needed a permanent solution for my daughter. That was 2 years at that time. So I was looking at Toronto, very close to Michigan, but at the same time, I was coming in as an international student. I don't have a US visa. So how is that going to help? It's not going to help. Then I looked at it. Then when my boss decided that she was relocating, she came to Manitoba. Then, okay, Dr. Vera is already here. She came in as a PR. She's settled and all of that. So why not look for a school in Manitoba? So I applied for a school here in Winnipeg. In fact, I was about to pay my deposits for, was it Cambridge? And then I decided to start all over. My application fee and all of that for Toronto went like that, like there was no refund. So I started over. So it's not as if I created it. I usually tell people, starting abroad, I think it's better, in as much as most of us run away from, staying in a Nigeria, a Black-dominated community. I don't stay in a Black-dominated community too, but I still connect. Like Ms. Cynthia said, there's NAMI, there's Nigerians in Winnipeg. We chat on WhatsApp. When there are events, I go, but I don't stay in Nigeria populated community. So, but one thing is, one way or the other, you have to have someone on ground to have that soft landing I am talking about. If you don't want to be like Mr. Popes that have to carry like 5 people all around looking for a house. Before I came, I had gone to check. I was looking for the houses on PGG and one other places. I'll just send her the address and the number. She will call, she'll go and check the house. We made the deposits even before I came. So I'll say a strong family member in a state or province or a country you are going to will actually help with the soft landing. So for people coming in with PR, especially if it is through MPMP, you definitely would have said you had a family in Manitoba for you to be qualified for MPMP. So you have somebody on ground, well, somebody that is willing, because time is money here. It's not easy. Right now, if somebody tell me now that go and check this place for me, I'm actually be posting it to actually have the time. Because as I am even here, I'm working on that now. That's why I've been a bit quiet. The conversation is actually interesting, and thankfully, all the panelists are well informed and all of that. I just agree to most of what they have been saying, and I just feel No need to just, keep repeating and adding what they've already said and all of that. So for the soft landing is not created. It's something that you look at, you weigh your options. Why some people will run away from where they have families. I have my colleague just coming. I call her my sister. She first landed at Dr. Vera's place. After a week or so, she's at my place right now. She doesn't have to pay rent for December. She doesn't have to pay rent for January. She'll start paying rent from February. So that's the soft landing we are talking about. And as soon as she was coming, I had already sent her the knowledge test link. Start practicing, take your knowledge test, get your driver's license. As we speak, she got a job 2 weeks in that she will start January. And when I came, I got a job in March. So, like that. So I already know it's not as if I have the keywords or anything, but doctor just saw a link on Indeed, sent it, we did the CV, they called her for interview. Everything happened within 4 days and she got the job and she'll be starting January 11th. So that's a soft landing. She wanted to go to British Columbia. And we actually had a big fight on that. And man of the very had to tell her that if you don't come here, forget it. We will not put our mouth to whatever you see. That place is expensive and all of that. And she agreed. And she's actually, in fact, she's not even home now. Our church members have come to pick her up for, what is it called? One occasion, I don't know, and all of that. So that's for soft landing. Look for, it may not be a family member, maybe a friend that, you think can actually give you the soft landing. But if you don't see anybody too, there are organizations here, at least I know of Stats Manitoba here in Winnipeg. There are some organizations that help newcomers. Just try to research before you come in. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Karim, for that. Yes, I think we have another. Okay, I see a question here. What are the requirements for a degree in nursing? I don't know who that question is particularly addressed to. Ngozi Mary asked that, but maybe any of the panelists, maybe perhaps Khadijat or Ms. Mabiaku can help us handle that. I know you are both in that line one way or the other. That's a degree in nursing in Canada, I guess. Yeah. Any of you who wants to go? Okay,
Sorry,
please go ahead.
what was the question again?
Okay, she said, what are the requirements for a degree in nursing?
Oh, you see that question. That question is going to take a whole long stretch of, because there are so many things. So the only thing that I can say is go to the website of any school, like U of M, U of Toronto, U of Calgary, and go to any province and check their website, their university website there, and get all the necessary things that you need for coming into nursing here. It's not so much like you have to have a very good WAEC results then, but if you're coming in as an undergraduate from outside the country, there are some prerequisites that you have to do, and for you to do those prerequisites, you have to ace it in A's because it's competitive. It's not just something that you can just come get a C and then you'll be on the, because there's a long line of wait lists for people who want to get into this occupation. So like I said, it's going, like if I start saying, oh, you have to do this, then when you do this, it's a long process. So you need, I actually can't even tell you off head, but the truth is, if you're coming from outside of Canada, you start with doing prerequisites at the 100 level, which you must ace in A's, all A's. You can't get, I think the least you can get is even a B plus for some of the courses. And then if you already have a first degree in any biological course, so let's say microbiology, biochemistry, physiology, even anatomy, then you stand a chance of starting from 200 level. They just need to prorate that course that you have done and see what other additional prerequisites that you need that you can use to now start from 200 level. And if you don't need, you can start straight away from 200 level, and then you are okay to start with the nursing degree.
All right, thank you very much. Wow, for the first time, I think we are really going to overshoot our time. Let's just, I think we can nip it at this point. I don't know if there are any other further comments. I'm trying to look at meanwhile, there's a poll up already. I just, I'm trying to see if there's any, okay, I don't see any other questions. But at this point, I must appreciate our panel. Okay, I think Khadija wants to say something again. All right, Ms. Karim, let's have you.
Just to quickly have to what Ms. Cynthia said as regards nursing. For each schools, there are different requirements. But I have a client coming in now for nursing in view of they call something. If you are starting, because there are different types of nursing here. We have the RN, the LPN, and all of that. So it depends on the one you want to do. And like you said, you have to have a very strong WAEC results. The client I have coming in now, she's going to do nursing in U of M, but she has to go through something they call University 1 first. University 1, University 2, then that is when she can now pick majors after 2 years. Like she said, you have to have a very strong score because it's highly competitive. At the end of the day, if she doesn't make those scores, she may eventually not do nursing. It's just like something we call pre-degree in Nigeria. So if she doesn't meet up to the scores that is required for the nursing course, she may eventually have to do maybe biochemistry or something that is not nursing. I don't know if I made a point, but every school has their own requirements. But if you are starting from the very beginning, as far as you of them that I know, and you are coming from Nigeria and you don't have a nursing degree from Nigeria, they recognize our nursing degree and nursing school. So they may actually you may not start from the scratch if you meet the requirement with that. So go to the school websites and check the requirements and you will be good to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. So yes, I think at this point, let's quickly have our giveaway as usual, as you must all have heard before. In all our webinars, we always have a 20,000 naira giveaway, at least for the first 5 months. We're hoping it's Christmas season, maybe that figure might increase, but then we're still at 20,000 anyway. So I'm going to quickly pick most consistent participants in the course of this particular one. So so far, I think the names I have here, just to be very sure I'm not skipping anybody's name. For those we have identified in the course of this webinar. Okay, I think I have all the names I have. Okay, I think I have one more. All right, so in no particular order, I'm going to be calling those who have shown enough participation, either through comments, through questions, and all that in the course of this webinar, or through interactions generally. So we have Olonishakin Samuel. No, is that Samuel? So Olonishakin Oluwashanu, please, apologies for that. I think this man was one of our winners last month. You are supposed to be banned from winning anything here today, but that's just in a lighter note. So we have Olonishakin Oluwashanu. Samuel Ajogu, we have Isaiah Gozi. So what we just do here is this: the audience. I mean, just feel free, panelists. You can also join us here. Just scroll through the comments. You just look at the ones you think were most engaging, and just put their names down. Just type their names down. Okay, or let me just create a quick poll. There's one already, but I'm just going to create another quick one here. Okay, I see one vote. We have a poll already up where we say, should we have a part 2 of our Japa stories in January 2025? Please feel free to vote yes or no. So that will just help us decide that. Then another poll is coming up shortly, so we can determine who is winning the giveaway for today's webinar. All right, so I'm going to be posting that up in a bit while we react to. Okay. All right, the poll is almost ready. All right, so we're going to just vote here. Whoever you feel deserves to win the 20,000 naira, just I think okay. Whoops. All right, so I'm launching the poll right away. So please, you have it there. So there are 2 existing polls. The first one says, should we have a part 2 of our Japa stories in January 2025, where we bring 4 different panelists again to this one to come tell their own stories. Then of course, the second one is, who walks away with the 20K? Anybody can vote. Feel free to vote for yourselves. We're going to do this in about maybe 2-3 minutes. It's already 9:11 p.m. here, and we've already overshot our time by 11 minutes. I'm hoping we don't exceed 9:30 p.m. so we can let our panelists go, of course, and also have their parting shots. So let's keep voting. Let's keep the votes coming. We have 5 votes so far. I think there are about 15 of us here now. 5 votes so far. Anybody can vote, please. Panelists, feel free to also vote. Just look at the comment section. You'll see those who are very engaging and those you think should actually deserve this. Okay, Fisaya, I see you have a hand up. You can ask your question, please. We'll be closing this vote in another 1 minute. All right, while the votes are going on, okay, I see. Oh, so okay, I have 5 votes for. Should we have a Japa part 2? So apparently, it looks like we're going to have part 2 of this one. Mr. Popola, I'll be reaching out to you so we can talk about this. You know, I think we can start something great. But that's by the way, though. So on the second one, all right, thank you, sir. So we're closing this vote in another 30 seconds. We have 6 votes. Fisaya Debi has 2 votes. Olanisha has 1. I mean, let's vote. Let's vote. There are more of us here. We should not be having 6 votes, please. Feel free to vote for anybody you want to. Fisaya, I see a hand from you there. Do you want to ask a question?
No, sir. I vote for myself.
No, it's allowed. You can vote for yourself. Please, by all means, you can vote for yourselves too. You can vote for yourselves. Yeah, you can vote for yourself, please. I'm ending this poll in another 20 seconds. Okay, we have 7 votes. Some people decided to abstain, apparently. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I've ended the poll for this one. Okay, Ngozi Mary has a question for you, Miss Khadijat. Okay, so at the end of this poll, okay, so yes, we have the first poll there. So we are definitely going to have a part. Sorry, can we stay muted, please? Okay. All right. So we are then the poll 2. We have a tie. Chinemeri Majogu, 2 votes. Fisaya Adebiyi, 2 votes. So I guess we have a tie. That means you guys are going to be splitting the 20,000 naira. So please reach out to, just send an email to the email that that reached out to you earlier. If you have, just send an email to us, and please, there's a criteria to, you must be following us on social media. If you look at your banner there, you can see the bottom column of the banner on your screen. You can see Dynamical Consulting on, you see our social media handles. Make sure you're following us. If you're not following us, you won't get it giveaway. Make sure you're following us on as many of the platforms you can. Congratulations to the winners. So before we go, I'll just have my panelists just give their parting shots and in 30 seconds to 1 minute before we go. Mr. Popola, let's have you first, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. I really commend everyone for staying this long, and for the panelists also for sharing their experience and being really, really factual about the issues. Now, the parting shot for me is not so much. What I just want to tell you is, if you're thinking of moving abroad anywhere in the world, make sure that you have a very solid plan. I envy those who had soft landings. Trust me, I wish I did. But unfortunately, when I was leaving Nigeria, I forgot to say that part. A friend of mine actually who lives in Doncaster told me, no problem, once you come in, you can bring your family to my end, and then you can go to school from there. Then when you're done, you come back maybe for weekend, but I got in, and a week after I called him, and the story changed. The story actually changed, so I couldn't go to his end anymore. It was after staying here for about 1 year that we eventually had to, go visit him once, and all of that. So you could actually plan for a soft landing, and it was never a landing. So the best thing is for you to have a very solid plan, and please take God first. There is nothing that God cannot do. It might seem difficult, and make sure that you have a positive mindset, and a mindset that says, I will go on no matter what. A lot of people have, finished and gone back to Nigeria because of difficult situations and all of that. I'm not saying Nigeria is a bad place to go back to, but after investing so much to come abroad, and because you couldn't sustain the balance, you had to go back home. Is not really a very good scenario to play with. So have your plan, put God in it, and be resilient. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pope, for that very pointed one. Thank you so much. All right, let's have your comments. Okay, let me take Khadija and Karim next for your parting shots, please. Your parting shots.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Popes have said everything. You may plan for a soft landing and it doesn't happen. I've seen people with that kind of stories and all of that. So in all, God first. Even with a soft landing, that doesn't mean you don't do the work. This Japa thing, it requires a lot of grit and resilience because it's not easy. I remember even with my soft landing, when I first moved to my apartment, because I stayed few days with my boss before moving to my apartment, I lost my way and I cried inside snow. As the tears was coming down, it was becoming frozen inside the snow. You still have to find your way around because this place is a very fast moving place. People don't have a lot of time, to actually take you around. My sister was a bit lucky because I just finished school, so I had to stop working because as an international student, immediately your final grades are uploaded to your portal and the school sends you an email that congratulations, you have completed your studies. Except you are on a shift. Once you finish that shift, you have to stop working until you apply for the postgraduate work permit and get a response before you can actually start working again. So I had a bit of free time on my hand. And of course, I had started applying for jobs and I already have a job. So it's not the case of I was applying for a job, but I was very busy. That was why I was able to take my friend that came around. If not, of course, she has a soft landing, she has a house to stay. She doesn't have to worry about food, but she has to find her way around. Nobody took me to my own school when I came. I remember walking for 30 minutes inside snow because I missed a stop. But in our own case, we even did Uber to our school. But when we're coming back, I was like, okay, let's do bus so that you can know the way. So in all, God first. People will promise heaven and earth, and at the end of the day, you may not get what you are really expecting. People change, things happen. You can promise that you can stay with me, but by the time the person comes and you see some little changes, your bills goes up and all of that. Okay, now, my idol was $50-something last month. With my friend joining, 3 of us in the house, and it's winter again, it became 80 plus. So it can shake someone that, this is way beyond them, above my budget and all of that. So in any ways, have plan A, plan B, plan C. But like Mr. Popola said, have that this thing at the back of your mind. Once I come in, I know they go back. We shall find a way, a legal way though, because every other ways, it's not easy. It's not easy being not having status and staying abroad. You are going to be frustrated. If you don't have a status and you're staying abroad, you are going to be frustrated. So that will be all from me. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Khadija. I really appreciate this. Okay, I'm going to be calling Chinedu shortly, but I'm just reading the comment section here that he said, so instead of the split, I can sponsor with another 20K. Thank you so much. That's a fantastic Christmas gift here. I said that this was Christmas season, so of course, expect giveaway. So apparently that means now our winners get their 20K each. So it's no longer 10K each. I hope the winners are still here. Chinemere Majogu, you're getting 20K as well as 20K. Of course, 20K courtesy of Mr. Chinedu Atumoye. Thank you so much for that, Chinedu. And of course, let's have your parting shots at this point. Is Chinedu still there? Okay, I'm trying to check.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I had to get this guy. He was running into the college.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. I'll just stick to the same topic that I was doing because I think we have quite some fantastic speakers who have really talked about so many things, and also the Q&A really helps to shed a bit more light on other things that may not have formed part of the topic for discussion today. So what I can speak is, if or whenever you find yourself outside of the country, never ever forget home. We've seen instances of people who make strong comments, some jokingly, some that the meaning is Like even fly away, pet for my body, cannot go and fetch there, but cut ties and say nothing. Because indeed, I think once I've been on a panelist on a UN sponsored program, and I had to make them understand that whatever I am was given to me by the country. So there is really no way. You can argue poor leadership, you can argue problems with infrastructure, but you would also realize that there is a lot that is benefited from that country. For crying out loud, Benga can testify. I'm a product of public schooling. So technically, you can argue that I went through school via taxpayers' money. From primary school, it was a public school, secondary school, federal government college, there was practically no tuition. University was a public school, University of Benin. There was, the tuition was next to nothing. 7,500 was the maximum amount I ever paid second. Only my master's in the University of Lagos that I paid something because it was really master's. It was not, it was a part-time master, so it was not subsidized. So I'm a product of taxpayers' money back home, and that has shaped me, it has formed me. And I think that whatever I do, wherever I find myself, that whole context of thinking of what can I do for better. I'm not the government. I cannot take the government responsibility. They have to fix the healthcare, make insurance available for people to be able to have it. They should do it. But in the absence of that, while that is being done, or I'm also not responsible for making sure that everybody should have quality education. But while that is being done, whatever I can do to help in my little capacity, whether it's very close family or in association level or at organization level, whatever policies I can help to shape or to influence, just to help the state back home at least a little bit more. That should be the thinking of whoever is trying and maybe find himself out of the country. So really thinking beyond being okay. So after you don't be okay, what next? So how can I possibly make maybe the next person okay or the next community okay? And if God helps you, maybe the nation could be okay. So the enjoyment or the benefits that you have, I always tell people the benefits that you think you enjoy in a foreign man's country is the toil and sacrifices of their citizens. So if you find yourself out and you pick up this skill that just virtue of association or virtue of living there, what is transferable and in what context or what ways can I transfer them back home? To just maybe try. I can tell you, I think the last time I was in Nigeria, in Abuja, specifically during the National Diaspora Day at the Villa, I was shocked that the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives was actually in the diaspora, right? He gave a talk though in the banquet hall of the Villa that he was part of the diaspora, then he had to come back home to see what he can do. I think he's from Abia State. Great guy. I never knew. So there are quite a number of also state governors you can think of who have, I think, some governors in the southwestern states, I think ACT or something. There's also from the diaspora. You can argue whether they are doing well or not doing well. Quite a number of the ministers, also Okonjo Iweala was one of them. Obi Ezekwesili was one of them. You know, quite a number of people. Enichego Aganga, also Akiumi Adesina, who is now the president of the African Development Bank. These are Nigerians who were part of the diaspora, who saw the light, made impact in a foreign man's country, and see, okay, what can I do to help my own country? And when they were called, they dropped everything that they had. At the time, Okonjo Iweala was becoming Minister for Finance. He was already a deputy director or vice president of the World Bank. That time, to quit that job, to take up a ministerial position, they will not match her salary. So it's not about money anymore. It's really about impact. At that World Bank stage, there are a couple of talents who can do the job. You can argue they don't need you, the World Bank will still run. But if you don't take up that ministerial position back home, you really cannot vouch for who will become the next Minister of Finance and what policies they can or cannot make that can influence the life of the common man. So that's the kind of impact that I think about. So when you think Japa, always also think of Japa that. So the Japa that could be anyhow. It could be, am I relocating back home, or am I transferring something back home permanently, temporarily, in any way, shape, or form, just to be able to help the country that has given birth to us. So that would be my input. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. I was going to stop you, but you were making so much sense. It was difficult to do that. So, Ms. Mabiaku, please, can you help us close out very, very briefly with your final thoughts? Thank you so much, man.
Yes, so it has to be brief because I work. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on this platform. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to, share a little bit of my story on my moving out, even though it was brief and it was even straight to the point. It was cut. But anyway, I just want to say thank you. I hope that we have this Japa series, or if there's even an avenue where we can actually write our stories, because sometimes these Japa stories go more than just having 10 minutes to say everything that, pushed us, moved us, encouraged us to, leave the country. One thing I'm going to say is that Nigeria would be great again, because just as we have the pros in the country where you are in right now, you also have the cons. And I'm a firm believer that where there are pros, there are cons. I also know that we have had cases of experiencing some of the cons of Japan, where you are being threatened that your kids will be taken away from you just for the things that are regular that you do with your kids regularly. Back in Nigeria, I used to tell people that I didn't have high blood pressure when I was in Nigeria, because I don't scream or yell at my kids. All I just need to do is to have 3 koboko, and then once everybody's misbehaving, I'll say, where's my cane? And that's it, and I have orderliness. But here I can't draw koboko, I can't draw cane out, and then I have to start yelling. Then when I finish yelling, I have to redirect my step again, and then start talking in a very calm manner, which is not something that so like I said, pros and cons. When you're leaving a country, you have to have plans, like Pope has said, and as Kadida has said too. You have to make plans too. Again, I would just say thank you, and God bless all of you who have participated, and then and God bless the host of this forum and platform. May God continue to expand your horizon. My parting shot to you all will be that never lose sight and lose focus on what you are intending to do. Whether you intend to stay in Nigeria or whether you intend to leave the country, you have to be focused, because focus is one of the main things that takes you forward. And once you have that focus, then you can be able to do and undo. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Mrs. Mabiyaku. It's already 9:30 p.m. and we'll have to call it a night. It's been a very interesting one for me. Of course, you all know this webinar was put together by Dynamico Consulting. We are an organization that focuses on 2 major areas: capacity building and development services, as well as brand support and representation services. And of course, we are happy to interact with you. Please follow us on social media. If you look at the banner on the screen, at the very bottom there, you see our social media handles. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, all with the name Dynamico Consulting. We're also on Twitter, what you now call X, as Dynamico NG. You can send us an email at info@dynamicoconsulting.com.ng, and our phone number is also there on the screen. The next webinar will be on January 31st. That's the last Friday in January 31st, 2025. We'll be having our Japa stories Part 2, True Narratives from Nigerians in Diaspora. Of course, we'll let you know ahead of time. And we hope if you've registered, we'll definitely reach out to you via your emails, your WhatsApp, and your SMSs. So thank you for being a very, very fantastic audience. Please, the winners, don't forget to reach out. You'll be credited on or before Monday. All that will be taken care of. So please reach out. And of course, let's stay in touch. Thank you to all my panelists again. Mr. Shion Pukbola, thank you. Mrs. Cynthia Mabiwako, thank you. Mrs. Khadija Karim, thank you. And Mr. Chinedu Atumoye, thank you so much. It's been a very, very wonderful one. The videos will be recording to be shared to everyone by your emails. Please, you can always, and of course, you can also request for the previous recordings of other webinars we've had so far. This is a continuous thing. We'll do this again next month. Thank you and have a wonderful night, everyone. Bye-bye. And thank you again, Mr. Chinedu, for the giveaway of 20,000 naira to support this webinar. We appreciate you. More where it came from. Amen. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.